From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICD Primetime Capper, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you're feeling the same. It is time for the premier sports betting show. And, man, it's the Primetime Angles, baby. That's all I can say, man. We are strong in years. I think we're about 5 years deep into this show already. You guys remember the original show, Capcast, and everything like that with Tony. You guys can always hear all 105 episodes on SoundCloud as well too. There's a lot of, I got a lot of receipts, bro. That's all I can say is that I just got a lot of receipts. A lot of these cappers talk, but I got a lot of receipts that show that I've made people a lot of money. So, you guys just keep on following the movement. And if you don't like the movement, keep on following anyway. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I love you all, the haters included. You know what I mean? But, I always feel like what we have to do as a whole is be very conscientious of what we're walking ourselves into. And with breaking news today, as you can see, Derek Carr has finally picked his team, but it's probably the loudest secret ever, because literally the guy, we all had him pegged to go to the Saints. And what he did was he met with the Saints during Pro Bowl week in Vegas and decided to tell the Raiders that, you know what, I don't want you guys to re-sign. I don't want you guys to trade me there, because I want you guys I want to get released. I want to work out my options. I want to make my own choices. Okay. You're not going to make my choice for me. And literally, he just made sure that the Raiders got nothing off of him, period, point blank. And that's the right thing to do, because the Raiders didn't deserve a damn thing off of Derek Carr. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, they were the ones that said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and make sure you don't hit your incentives. Make sure you don't get your little bonuses here at the end of the year, because we refuse to pay you another dollar. So when they did that, why would you stick around to be with the team that literally just threw you away, and then let them try to figure out a way to get some draft picks off of this situation as well too? No, the Raiders said they were moving on. Then move on. You know what I mean? I know that you guys want to get some draft stock, get some things for him, get some value for him, things of that nature. But you said that wasn't a value player. You did not think of him in a high regard, because you never will do your franchise quarterback the way that they did Derek Carr at the end of the year. You did something to where you were tired of the man and you moved on, but really you let the fans go ahead and dictate the move. That's it, and that's all, because you know that Derek Carr was not the biggest problem with the Raiders. The Raiders defense is the elephant in the room. Just at the end of the day, when are you going to address that issue? When are you going to address the middle linebacker position? When are you going to address the safety position? When are you going to address defensive line accordingly? When are you going to get guys like Max Crosby some dogs to play with them? You know what I mean? Like, seriously, you got old Chandler Jones, who was a great player years ago, but he's at the twilight of his career. All he's doing is enjoying the city of Las Vegas. So literally, at the end of the day, the Raiders are an absolute mess. Derek Carr was the one shining light in that mess, and then they go ahead and they say that he's the problem, the reason for the mess. And so there's no reason why the Raiders should be rewarded for anything Derek Carr does moving forward. We'll have a day where Derek Carr comes back and the Raiders will apologize and everybody will be all good, ho-hum and everything like that. He'll go into the Raiders Ring of Honor, all that good stuff, because at the end of the day, he'll always be seen as a Raider. So pretty much this is one of the more uglier Raider breakups in history. And I think that pretty much he's going to be able to get his sound revenge at least in the first season here in New Orleans. He gets Chris Olave. He also has Kamara, who hopefully will not be where nothing will go on further with the situation that he got himself into. But now the Saints can relax. They can go ahead and actually go about their draft the way that they want to. They're sitting at the 12th pick right now as well, too. So they have themselves some options there as well. And you can also go ahead and get this another playmaker for him as well. So Derek Carr is going to get a lot of young, hungry playmakers. And also he's going to have a defense that's going to actually have his back this time around. So with that, Derek Carr is on the New Orleans Saints. It's finally official, and the quarterback carousel has begun. And real quick notes, I think that Jimmy G is the top target for the Raiders from what I've been hearing and from sources that I do know but in Las Vegas that are closely tied to the Raiders, that he is the number one free agent that's on their list. And then also they are waiting on the status of Aaron Rodgers. They would have to give up a king's ransom to get Aaron Rodgers as well, too. So I'm thinking that's more of the jet speed, but I'm still thinking that Aaron Rodgers never leaves Green Bay. This will probably be his final season in the NFL in Green Bay as well, too. So there it is. There it is. I move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into our next topic in hand, and that's going to be what happened at the Combine this weekend. And Anthony Richardson went ahead and became the talk of the new buzz in the draft. Is Richardson's stock rising after the NFL Rookie Combine? How does this affect the top 10? Well, how does it affect the top 10? That means that all in all, that they're going to force 4 quarterbacks into the top 10 this year. Let's just keep it real. They're going to force 4 of them in there. And I think that you only really need to draft 2 of them in the top 10, to be honest. I know that a lot of people are just they're really on the yes, it was a great pickup for the Saints. It was an obvious pickup for the Saints as well, too. And we knew that they were going to get back together, Dennis Allen and Derek Carr, because they never wanted to be separated in the first place. So now they get to go ahead and do exactly what they planned to do those years ago in Oakland. So it should be fun. And right now we can say that the Saints probably do go to the number 1 team in the NFC South as is. So, and pretty much we knew that the Saints probably would be the number 1 team in the South once they got their quarterback as well, too. All right, so let me stick to the topic. We got Anthony. I was just answering a question, and y'all said shout out to my Rail, to my nephew, my man Osman, and you guys make sure you guys can follow him on Rise Above Anything on the Twitter. So, you guys have Richardson here, stock rising. And he is a magnificent player. He's a guy that is playing the game at a high level. He didn't have the greatest year for tape, but he was a guy that was seen as a high-end prospect, because right after the week 1 of the college football season, after they beat Utah in that comeback, there were a lot of people who were so impressed with Richardson, and they were so impressed with Florida that they made him a top 10 team and said that we possibly got the Heisman Trophy winner here. So he did go ahead and impress in his first game. But as the season continued, it shows that the SEC is one of the tougher conferences in the nation. So it kind of caught up with him. And he was never the best quarterback in the conference. That went to Bryce Young. And Bryce Young didn't throw this week, so he didn't have to get ridiculed too hard in the throwing department, but they did go to work on him in the height department and the weight department. They really are starting to kind of question, why is he in the top 10? Because he's such a small guy for the quarterback position. And I say to myself, well, in today's new world, that the quarterback position really is all about the talent that's at the position. It's really not about a guy needing to be 6'6", 240 pounds with a Pulitzer as an arm. He can be a little 5'10", 5'11" guy who's only 205 that can be mobile and work in and out of the pocket and still get the same ball down the field. Yeah, he might not be able to see over some of these behemoths of linemen, but thing is, though, he's been playing quarterback long enough at a high level to be trusted in this situation. So I think that's all that's just a way to nitpick the guy that you're going to take first. It's that simple, because he didn't throw for anybody this week. Richardson went out there. He ran the fastest 40 ever. He went out there and was over there throwing 60-yard bombs on the run, and it looked accurate. He was making great timely throws, and he was just a freak. He broke the 40. He broke the vertical record with the 42-inch leap. I don't know how that's going to help him throwing the ball, but he did that. And pretty much Richardson, I think he pretty much jumped Will Levis in the draft. I think now the Raiders can probably tell themselves, well, they keep saying he's like Mahomes, and since we're going to probably go get Jimmy G anyway, we can make this guy a project. But once again, I really do feel like Hendon Hooker is still the third best quarterback on the board when it comes to these quarterbacks. He just has a torn ACL. So pretty much he's gonna have some points knocked off, but he was still there answering a whole lot of questions this week as well too. So when it comes down to it, I truly do feel like they're gonna force 4 quarterbacks into the top 10. Let's just keep it real. They're gonna force 4 quarterbacks in there. And as I keep looking at it, I feel that the Bears probably will not move out of that position, especially after what Nolan Smith did. You know what I mean? And I think Nolan Smith has became somebody that intrigues them a little bit. 4.39, and you're an edge rusher. Wow, that's just incredible. And then, they didn't get anything from Carter this week because Carter had his issue, and Anderson will probably not go number 1 now. He's probably more of a guy that's going to probably wind up either in Arizona or in Atlanta. So that's what it looks like for him. So I truly do feel like the Bears, if they do make this move, it will be with one of these defensive players, and it will be a surprise player as well too. But I truly do feel that at the end of the day, it's going to be too much for the Colts not to jump their division rival in the Texans. Let's just keep it real. I just don't think that I don't think that they're gonna let them sit there knowing that they could jump them and get their quarterback of the future. And when I say this, I feel like what happens here is that they jump the Texans and wind up drafting Bryce Young, and CJ Stroud winds up in Houston, and then the Raiders will go ahead and trick themselves into Anthony Richardson, and then I think that Levis will go number 9 to the Carolina Panthers. But they're saying that the Raiders were really, really high on Levis at the beginning of last week, but by the time they saw Richardson, they became really high on him. So the Raiders are kind of in the middle of it, and the Raiders can give up the King's ransom to the Bears so they can go get CJ Stroud. I think that CJ Stroud probably is the number 1 quarterback on their board, but they'll settle for somebody like Anthony Richardson. I think that you can get the Levis to the Raiders idea out your head now. So there it is. The NFL Combine, absolutely, to me, is worthless. But because they're going to have a pro day anyway at their school, and they usually get a little bit more. They are a little bit more receptive towards your pro day. They start being a little bit more nicer. It seems like when you're at the combine, they really nitpick everything to a certain degree, to the point to where it's like, shut up. You know what I mean? So it is what it is at the end of the day. And pretty much that's going to be a wrap on our NFL news for today. Let's go ahead and jump into our next topic in hand, and that's going to be on the court, and that's going to be with the UCLA Bruins. The UCLA Bruins came up big this weekend. They went ahead and swept both Arizona schools. They got their get-back win over the Arizona Wildcats. UCLA continues win streak with revenge win over Arizona, and are the Bruins at number 1 in the NCAA tournament. When I say are the Bruins a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, what kind of question is that? UCLA has 4 losses on the season, okay? Both of those losses occurred back-to-back as well, too. And they were probably moments in time where UCLA, who was coming off of a winning streak, kind of needed a wake-up call at that point in time. UCLA plays the best defense in the nation, and it showed this weekend. UCLA is the type of team that can be put in a place where they get down 6 points, no problem, because they'll be up 4 points by the end in the next 4 minutes, because they still. Oh, I didn't know that. They were shopping. King Henry, and I think that's possibly a very good situation as well too to go ahead and do that. I'll talk a little bit more about that though when we talk more NFL tomorrow. But thanks for the information, nephew, with that one. I think I really appreciate that one because I didn't see anything about King Henry, but I would think that King Henry would be the guy that they would start trying to move because there is a lot of money on that contract, and there's teams out there, say like the Eagles, possibly I wouldn't say the Giants, but the Cowboys, teams like that might want to move on a great back like that. But I think it's all about moving that money. That's what it's all about. But UCLA continues their streak, and everything is looking pretty good for them. And I think that UCLA, at the end of the day, is really focused on winning a national championship. They could care less about being a 1 seed and all that good stuff. Because at the end of the day, they had 2 losses in a row. They wound up losing to Arizona by 6. Then they played the next week against arch rival USC, who they had just played a few weeks before in a weird game because UCLA was up 20 points and then wound up almost losing the game in the second half. So there was kind of like, there was kind of like a momentum thing going on with that situation. So USC really played to it because UCLA jumped out to another big lead, 12 points, and then UCLA was very uncharacteristic in that next half. They gave up 52 points. UCLA only happened to UCLA once this season where they gave up 52 points. And literally, I don't think that they had a game this year where they even gave up more than 80 points in a game to their opponent. You know what I mean? That's how good UCLA is. The most points UCLA has given up this season, I'm going to tell you guys right now, the most points UCLA gave up this season was in that SC game, 77 points. UCLA's that good when it comes down to their defensive acumen. Actually, they gave up 80 points. 80 points was the largest amount that they gave up. But come on, that was against Baylor, and Baylor is a top team. So, that makes a whole lot of sense in regards. But they hadn't given up 52 points in any quarter this year but that one. So UCLA being the number 1 seed needs to happen. The UCLA has 9 wins over quad one teams. Okay. And Purdue doesn't have the same resume. Stop trying to put Purdue in this position that they're deserving of a number 1 seed because they won a few games in non-conference tournaments against North Carolina when they were seen as the top team in the nation, or beating Duke. Those teams aren't at that level right now. Those teams are playing in what we would say the weakest conference in the Power 6 right now, in the Power 5 or Power 6, whatever they want to call it in CBB, because I know they count the Big East as a power conference as well too. So, there's just a lot of things you look at and you tell yourself that things can get much better for UCLA because there's still things that they can improve on. But right now, they are in the driver's seat to get to the national championship and quite possibly hang up another banner at Poly Pavilion. That is the goal. That is the plan. And that's what happens when you have seniors that are playing on a high level. They're not trying to go home. It's that simple. They're not trying to go home anymore. They're trying to get to the top of the top. We all know a few years back, UCLA lucked into the Final Four. Let's keep it real. But they had the talent to get there. Last year, they fell short because they played against the hottest team in the tournament at the time, the North Carolina Tar Heels. This year, UCLA is right where they want to be. They have all the players in place. They got the super freshmen, they got the super seniors, and they got the great role players. UCLA is on a mission right now. It's the title or bust for UCLA. It's that simple. Winning the Pac-12, that would be great. That would be awesome. But the key goal, the end goal, is winning the national championship. But I know that they are setting themselves up with actual goals, and I know that winning the Pac-12 tournament in Vegas is a big goal. And after losing those 2 games in Vegas earlier this year, they want to get some get back because they want to make sure that they can show that they can play on a neutral court and finish the job as well too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. UCLA headed to Las Vegas this week for the Pac-12 tourney. It should be a lot of fun. We'll have more on it as we move further along. So here we are, 30 teams in 30 days, and we have ourselves the Houston Astros. And the Houston Astros coming in here with a very fun subject. World champions. They are the world champions for the second time since 2017, where they beat the Dodgers, and it was a controversial situation beating the Dodgers as well too. So, a lot of people still talking about that, but a lot of folks need to just move on. Like I always say about the Dodgers and the Houston Astros. Now, the Astros did finish first in the AL West. They won the World Series as well, too, and finished with a record of 106.56. And man, oh man, them and the Dodgers literally had a gate-to-wire regular season that saw probably 2 of the more dominant teams you'll ever see in season, you know what I mean? And really, you felt like they were on a collision course to play each other in the World Series. It would have been one of the better World Series of the last 30 years if you would have got the Dodgers and the Astros in the World Series, because the Dodgers had won 111, Astros had won 106. It'd have been a great rematch to really see if the Astros needed, if it was true, the Astros needed the help or did need the help. I know one thing, though, the Dodgers probably would have pushed that 1-7 for sure. And I don't know who the winner would have been, but let's keep it real. The Astros, once the Dodgers got put out, literally were walking to the title last year, because seriously, nobody in the AL was better than them last year. And I tried to put the Yankees on a pedestal last year, but the Yankees were a first half team that wound up being a bad team in the second half. The Astros were consistent the whole season. They never had any issues where they went from, being top tier to being middle. That never happened with them. Now, you look at this lineup, it's still the usual suspects. You still got Altuve, you still got Bregman, and you still have your Yandy Alvarez, and you got the World Series MVP and the ALCS MVP in Jeremy Pena. Also, you have Jose Abreu as well too. And these guys and Michael Brantley's hurt right now. And these Kyle Tucker as well. These guys are just the usual suspects. These are guys who are really, really good players. Chas McCormick is a guy that's kind of adding in right now. But you look at this group, they still got the same guys from last year in their pitching rotation. Only thing is now they add in Hunter Brown into the rotation because, as everybody knows, McCullers starting the season off on the IR. So pretty much you have this great staff that looks nothing like the staff that we saw win the first World Series. It's literally all brand new guys here, but they got some of the best in the business, though. Framber Valdez, who was absolutely lights out for the title last year. Javier, who was lights out as well, too. Your cutie, who's lights out as well. Also, Luis Garcia. So they might have one of the best forearms in baseball starting. You know what I mean? It kind of reminds you a little bit. I'm not going to put them in the same range, but it kind of reminds you of those Braves a little bit from the 90s. So, it just kind of reminds you of stuff. Don't get crazy on me, but this team has all the makings of a repeat winner. They truly do. And could I say that the West is going to be probably a tougher division this year? Yes, but they have to get tougher because that's just how good the Astros are. Usually when a team's playing at a high level, it does go ahead and it trickles down to the other teams as well too. As you can see, the Rangers went out there and broke the bank to go get Jacob deGrom, who's seen as one of the best pitchers in baseball, if not one of the best pitchers ever. Then you have them also going out and they spent some money last year on Corey Seager and on Simeons. So that's huge in its own right. But they did go out there and they did spend some money on some pitching this year, which people were begging them to do, and they finally went ahead and did it. So you have this team that literally can do pretty much what they want. And I think that this team is so good this year that their injuries will probably play a big factor in the outcome of how they really do. Because at the end of the day, they can be settled. They can be satisfied where they're at. They've won a World Series. What more can I say? As the great Jay-Z once said. You know what I mean? So well, he didn't say it, but the guy on the hook said it. So pretty much you know, you have that situation. And I truly do think that all in all, that I'm going to shock the system a little bit this year. I think that the Astros are going to be really good, but I think the Astros are going to run into the injury bug a little bit this year. And by them being really good, I mean that they're going to be able to work through some controversy this year, in a sense, in my opinion. And I think that I wouldn't be keeping it real with myself if I said, oh, yeah, they're going to win 100 games again this year, when I know that they don't have that super vet on the pitching staff anymore. By not having Verlander around anymore, that does take a lot away from the pitching staff. Even though you don't need him as much as you needed him before, it still takes a lot away from the pitching. It still takes a lot away from the pitching staff because he's the veteran and he's the guy who can calm down guys in the dugout when the pitching coach can't. You know what I mean? And give guys little advice that they need. And I think that that's going to be the biggest issue with the pitching moving forward, is that they don't have that veteran that's there to keep the young boys in check. You know what I mean? And keep everybody positive, keep everybody focused on the job. So we'll see how it goes, but I have them staying under 95.5. I got them winning 95 games, and that's it this year. 95 games is still really good for this season. But at the end of the day, that's exactly where I see the Houston Astros at, under 9.5 all in all. So pretty much with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when I get back, we're going to get into the state of the Lakers. And after that, we're going to get into NBA Monday night. And then we're going to talk about the Southern Conference Championship and also the Sun Belt Conference Championship as well, too. And then we get into Talkin Tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Captain.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Captain, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
What's up? We are back with the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles. Man, it was a good weekend in boxing too, man. We're going to talk more about it tomorrow, but good fights being announced and big fights having press conferences this week. And that fight over in Ontario was, man, that was people got their money's worth. From what I saw, I wasn't able to make it out. I had my tickets, but I didn't make it out because UCLA was playing at the same time. A lot was going on, and they started those fights really fast. I thought they was going to start a little later than they did, but they started them like right at 6 o'clock. So it is what it is at the end of the day. But that was a really good card, and it was a really good night of boxing as well too. A lot of great boxing on the way. So you guys make sure to check in on that Showtime schedule, because they got a bunch of they said, I think they got 9 fights coming up in the next 10 weeks. So that is an absolute crazy number. So you can't keep saying boxing's dead. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the state of the Lakers. And the state of the Lakers brings us to a very, very good situation with the Lakers. The Lakers are now 31-34. They are sitting a half game outside of the play-in as well now too. So the Lakers are really at a phase now to where, it's up to them to want to go to that next level. You know what I mean? It's really up to them at the end of the day. And I think that a lot of folks have to understand that the Lakers, all in all, they have a lot going in their favor right now, because they have a lot of different options when it comes to scoring. You know what I mean? And I think when you add in guys like Malik Beasley, and you add in guys like Jarrett Vanderbilt, and you add in guys like Mo Bamba Huchamara, these guys are big, they're physical, and they all can shoot somewhat. And it's really fun to watch. And then you got D'Angelo Russell, who's going to be the greatest compliment to AD ever, because AD needed somebody to make him the number one option, not just make him and LeBron the number one option, where no, AD is the man of this team, and he's the person that the future is really based on at the end of the day. It's not about LeBron. LeBron has already made his mark. He's already played. He's already done his career. You know what I mean? LeBron could really retire at the end of the year, and it won't be a big deal. Like, seriously, his career has been fulfilled. He's the all-time leading scorer. You know what I mean? Like, what more can he do? What more does he have to prove? At this point in time right now, the person that has to prove something is AD. And AD proved a lot over the last 2 games, because AD has dropped 70 points. That means he's averaging 35 in the last 2 games, after he had to sit out the OKC game, because the team wanted him to sit out the OKC game. A lot of fans were pretty mad about him sitting out, because they felt like, here we go with the baby BS, and why we always, why can't you be tough enough? Why can't you be this? Why can't you be that? And pretty much what happened is that he's a guy that he literally has to take these little breaks, and he still did have a bad foot issue. So you had to go ahead and put him in position to, get healthier. And he was getting kind of beat up the night before, so it made a lot of sense. But we would have really loved to see the Lakers beat the Grizzlies the other night, because they could have been that much closer. Lakers could be 32-33 today, and they would be in the 9 hole, to be exact. You know what I mean? Because Utah is starting to fall off. And also, New Orleans, it seems like they're about to fall out as well too. And Minnesota is still like a losing streak away from being out of this thing as well. So that's why I keep saying Laker fans should not be panicking at all. Even if the Lakers are to lose a game this week or lose 2 games this week, don't panic, because this log jam is intense. You know what I mean? Every game is a playoff game from here on out, for every team that's from 5 through 11 right now. Seriously. And you still got Oklahoma City and Portland trying to still rear their ugly head into this situation as well too. So yesterday, the Lakers got themselves another very, very thorough good win against a team that actually was pretty hot coming into the game. And they bring back their best player as well too, in Steph Curry, the face of the franchise. So, the Warriors had a lot of working for them yesterday. The Warriors started off with a quick with a 5-game winning streak going into the game last night. And at one point, they were really having their way with the Lakers, especially in the second quarter, hitting 8 3-pointers like that. Everybody started having that eye roll, like, here we go again. But the Lakers actually absolutely stepped it up when it was time to step it up. And the Lakers literally went ahead and won the second half yesterday the way that they were supposed to. AD goes off for 39 points, and AD was relentless yesterday. He made sure he got his points. He made sure that he got fouled and things of that nature. Quick breaking news as well, too. Very, very, very talented player has been released by the Chiefs, and that's going to be linebacker Frank Clark. Frank Clark is, to me, one of the more stellar players in the league, but we all know he kind of has some things that are going on the outsides that kind of, are a little aren't as PC. So Frank Clark cost a lot of money, so they pretty much making that money. They making that money available back to their books. So Frank Clark will be a part of that group of top tier free agents that are out there. So he's probably a part of that class of free agents that's pretty big. But let me get back to the Lakers. And now Troy Brown. Nobody's talking about Troy Brown, but Troy Brown, since LeBron went out, he's been absolutely tremendous. He's scored 19 the other night against OKC. He only had 8 against Minnesota, but he had 14 yesterday. Both those games where he scored double digits in the last 2 out of 3 games, he hit 4 threes in those games as well, too. All timely threes, all right when the Lakers needed them. And the Lakers did have 6 players in double figures, including everybody in the starting lineup last night as well, too. And Austin Reeves just doing a hell of a job. He got another 16 off the bench, and he's been a Laker PTPer here since LeBron left as well. He only had one kind of down game, and that was against Minnesota. He had 17 against Memphis, he had 19 against OKC, and he had 16 last night. So this guy has been playing really good basketball. His 3-pointer is hitting as well too. So there's a lot of things working in the Lakers' favor moving forward. So when I look at the Lakers' schedule for this week, it's a tough schedule, but it's a doable schedule, and it's 3 home games as well for the Lakers. So their games are very split apart too. So the Lakers have a game Tuesday night against Memphis. Memphis will not have Ja Morant, and I was gonna have a whole monologue about Ja Morant's situation. I'm gonna wait till tomorrow for that one. So I just rather everything kind of play out, and then we can talk about it a little bit since the Lakers are playing them tomorrow. And then we have Toronto coming in Friday night. The Lakers did lose to Toronto earlier this season. Actually, was a blowout as well too. So the Lakers have that on their mind. So this is seen as a winnable game, but it's going to be a tough game because this is a team that already beat them, and Toronto's chasing a playoff spot too. And then the New York Knicks, one of the hotter teams in the NBA right now, they'll be around on Sunday. Damn, I might need to make it out to Staples on Sunday. I always love watching the Knicks and the Lakers. So we'll see how it goes. It's a lot of fun when it's New York versus LA, because all the New Yorkers in LA come out and act like they're Knicks fans for the day, knowing that they be rooting for the Lakers most times, but they'll come out and they'll root for their Knicks. But Knicks-Laker games get intense. I love it. I went to a game a few years ago, and the Lakers were really bad. It was Kobe's last game against Carmelo, and boy, oh boy, what a night. All I remember, the one highlight of that night, though, that I do remember is Carmelo busting down Larry Nance and hitting corner clutch 3. So that's one thing that I will always remember about that Laker game, is that Carmelo had major game when you watch him in person. So y'all can say what you want, but the boy got game. All right, so that's going to be good. The Lakers, those are their 3 games this week, and then they're back on the road next week with the Tuesday matchup with New Orleans, and then they have a matchup with Houston, and that's the Lakers' next 5 games for you. All right, so there it is. State of the Lakers. Lakers get themselves a great win yesterday, and they get themselves that much closer to the play-in. And the Lakers are thinking more about the 6th seed, which is still very possible, because as you can see, they're only 2.5 games back from Minnesota right now. And Minnesota is a very, very fickle team. And it's crazy that Dallas and the Clippers were both 5-6 last week, and Golden State was 7-8 with Minnesota. Now they flipped, so it's flipping like every single week. So that's why I said don't get too excited about some of these teams, being here because they're not going to be here for long. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our NBA Monday night. And NBA Monday night, let's get to it. First game up is going to be this one right here. It's going to be it's going to be not the Pacers. It's going to be the Cavs and the Celtics. The Cavs and Celtics are facing off again. They played each other last week. Celtics won that game. Now Celtics lost last night. Big loss to the rival New York Knicks and pretty much have fallen to the second seed. Now, after being first seed most of the season, they've lost their first 2 out of 3 games of this month as well, too. They lost to Brooklyn in a surprise loss, and then they lost by 2 last night to New York. So, they lose 2 out of 3 games at home. Boston never likes losing at home. Now they got to go back on the road for a night, and then they'll be back in Boston on Wednesday. And then they got a road game Saturday night against Atlanta. But this week, the Celtics get a little bit of rest this week as well, too. I think this is a team that is dying for some rest right now as well, too, because they did play 3 games in a matter of 5 days. So pretty much now they come back around. They got the Cavs tonight. They beat them by 4 last week in Boston. Then tonight they go against a Cavaliers team that won their last game against lowly Detroit as well, too. So these two teams going at it, and this is a possible playoff matchup as well, too, in the second round if the Celtics are to get back into the first seed and the Cavaliers hold serve at the 4 seed. I still do think that these two teams are going to meet up because their matchups kind of call for them to meet up. And I think all in all, when it comes down to it, this game is more about, understanding that Boston is going to be a little shorthanded. So they're going to really overbet the Cavaliers tonight. And the Cavaliers have been, and I'm going to tell you like this, the Cavaliers have been way worse against teams that are fairly limited compared to the Celtics. Even though the Celtics are shorthanded, they're still the equivalent of those bad teams that beat them. I know they're one of the better teams, but you know what I'm saying? When they don't have their stars, it's a little bit different. You know what I mean? But Boston's well coached, so they should be right in the thick of things. So I like Boston with the +8 in the spot. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. Let's go ahead and jump into our next game, which is going to be the Sixers and the Pacers. The Pacers come into this one the Pacers come into this one 29-36, while the 76ers are 41-22. My bad. I got a little confused a little bit. Don't mind me though. I'm sorry. All right. So you have you have this 76ers team kind of struggling. They've lost their last 3 out of 5, but they've won 2 out of 3 to start this month off as well, too. So they're looking pretty good. They didn't finish the month of February that well, as we talked about before, but they've bounced back a bit. They did get a bad loss the other night against Dallas on Thursday. They lost by 7, but bounced back Saturday night and beat Milwaukee in Milwaukee. But Milwaukee didn't even have Giannis, but they still figured out a way to beat them. So pretty much everything works out for it in a sense to where you have the 76ers team that's just kind of been coasting, kind of been rolling. Nobody's been talking about them as much. They even have an MVP candidate in Embiid that they really don't want to give the MVP to, even though I feel like he should be the MVP this year. Yeah, Jokic is killing it. Jokic is doing Jokic things. Yeah, we already know Jokic is a cheat code in the NBA right now. You know what I mean? Because he's literally just playing old school basketball, but in a new school way. So pretty much that's what gets the writers and all these people excited about Jokic, because he plays basketball the right way. But they didn't give Tim Hardaway the MVP every single year, even though he could have been the MVP for 5 years straight. So I think that they'll go ahead and they'll kind of shake up the apple cart a little bit as Philadelphia keeps moving along, because Philadelphia has probably been one of the more consistent teams in the NBA. When have you seen Philadelphia have a long losing streak this season? Think about it. So Philly is a really good team. Now, the Pacers, on the other hand, the Pacers are very inconsistent. The Pacers are 1-1 this month. And literally last month, they lost 5 in a row. But that wasn't the first time. That was like literally like they've done that like 4 or 5 times this year and still find themselves 29-36 and still find themselves with one of the best records in the NBA as an underdog. So it's just really like, wow, like this team seriously go away, but they don't want to go away. That's the whole thing, because I looked at their record, you know what I mean, over the last few months, and they've lost a lot of games, you know, and they're still here. But they won a number of games in December too. Like they went on a nice streak. But the Pacers tonight, they could possibly cover spread, but I like the under a little bit more here. I think that's more of the play here. I think the Pacers are going to play some defense tonight, and I think the 76ers are going to be into this one as well too. Actually, I think the game goes over. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this one totally wrong because I said under, but I'm looking at the over. I'm sorry. I think that this one does go over because, you know, Indiana knows that they got to score a lot of points to keep up with Philadelphia. And Philadelphia, a lot of times, they want to take advantage of teams like this who don't play great defense night in and night out. So usually when these games arise, when it's a real good teams, especially like the Pacers, they have to play to a certain level to keep up with that team. So I like the over 232 tonight. So that's what I really like is the over 232. Sorry about that. All right, so we move on. We have the Hawks and the Heat in a divisional matchup tonight, and this one should be a good one as well too, because you have two teams that are very methodical in their approach, you think? And I just truly think that when it all goes down, that this one is really critical. It truly is, because you got two teams here that are chasing the playoffs, but they're chasing a play-in as well too. But they're not guaranteed a play-in because they don't guarantee anybody playoff spot anymore. So pretty much you can be a conference champion and still have to be in a play-in situation. So I mean, a division champion still be in a play-in situation. So all in all, people aren't really looking at the fact that these two teams are going at it for their division as well too. So this is a critical game moving forward for both of these teams, in my opinion. And I think that tonight is a game that really calls for the Heat to step it up big time. And when you need the Heat to step it up big time, they've answered the call. Like literally, I've seen them answer the call time and time again. And I think tonight they possibly can go ahead and answer the call again, even though you have this Hawks team that kind of got some new life a little bit because they have a brand new head coach, and they are a team that's looking to, you know, build on that as well too, because they know that they still are a playoff team as well. So there's no point in just giving up on yourself already. You know what I mean? You got to keep going, and that's what I know that they're looking at. So pretty much, all in all, when it comes down to this one, you have a Hawks team that's much better now, you know, because now they got that whole situation out the room now, where, you know, they didn't like coach didn't like them. Now that's all over with. So now they got a coach that's going to hold them very accountable for a lot of things moving forward. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the best thing that ever happened to this team, because they'll be able to keep their star happy, and they'll be able to keep this good duo together for this for what's going to occur. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. But I think tonight the Heat I think the Heat take care of business in this one. I truly do. I think that the Heat have exactly what it takes to go ahead and get this win tonight. I think a lot of us have to just understand that the way that the NBA works is the better team is always going to figure out a way to win. And right now, the Heat are the better team, even though the more exciting team is we'll keep it real, the more exciting team is the Hawks. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's going to be what it's going to be, baby. So I just truly feel that this one winds up going in the favor of the Heat tonight. I like the -3 on the Heat. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But I like that right there. I like it a lot. So we'll see. We'll have to figure it out. But Oh man, all in all, when you're trying to get things to match, you know what I mean? Because I'm over here trying to do 40 things at once. So there we go. So perfect. So pretty much we'll go ahead and let's flip on down to our next game, which is going to be the Nuggets and the Raptors. This one right here is actually going to be a game that I see as one that will have a lot of people over betting the Nuggets tonight. And it seems like every time the Nuggets get over bet, folks get into a lot of trouble. Let's just go. I'm just going to say that because it seems like people get a little too excited about this team because they're the number one team in the West. And it seems like when they play at home against teams like against a team that's playing like how the Raptors are playing, where nobody's really taking them seriously, it seems like that's a lot of Eastern Conference teams this year and some Western Conference teams. They go to Denver and they beat them. And I want to be on the right side here. You know what I mean? I want to be on the right side. So that's why I'm thinking to myself that it might be a little risque tonight to just think that this team is going to roll like that because they're a 6.5-point favorite and now a 7-point favorite. So all in all, I think that we can go ahead and get a little froggy tonight, and I'm going to take the Raptors to actually cover this game. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. Not cover, to win the game. Let me take that back. To win the game. Straight up. Win the game. So I have them winning tonight. And let's see how it goes. Plus 200. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. All right. So I'm moving a little quicker now. So let's go ahead and talk real quick about Pelicans Kings. Kings over here sitting pretty right now. The Kings are sitting in the number one spot in the toughest division in basketball in the Pacific Division. So I feel like you have a Kings team that is feeling good, but you know what? You got the Phoenix Suns nipping at your heels consistently right now. So this is something that is going to have to be worked out somewhat, but you have a Kings team that did lose their last game, but they had won 4 in a row prior to that. Actually, they 4 out of their last 5. I don't want to say just 4 in a row, but yeah, they had won 5 in a row before losing to Minnesota. So now they go against New Orleans tonight. New Orleans is a team that's been struggling as of late without Zion. This team has been absolutely atrocious. At one point, they were the number 1 seed. Now they've lost their last 5 out of 6. They're 1-1 in the month of March as well, too. There's just a lot of things not going the Pelicans' way. So what I like tonight is I like the under in this spot. I think the under should be a good play. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And I think that we can go ahead and get this one home. That's how I feel. We can get this one home. So it is what it is at the end of the day. Let's go ahead and see how it shakes out. All right. Let's move on and let's get into the Southern Championship for today. Southern Championship between Chattanooga and Furman. Furman has been a dominant team all season. As you can see, they are 26-7. They went into this tournament with 24 wins as well, too. There's only about 5 or 6 teams that can really go ahead and say that. So pretty much they are one of the better teams in the nation when it comes to winning basketball games. So this team, all in all, I think Furman is going to have their moment in the sun. And one thing they did do, though, I'm going to keep it real with you guys. I was doing all the studying last night, and I was looking at lines and putting in bets last night. And actually, this was a -8 to open up. But a lot of people jumped all over Chattanooga on the bet. A lot of people, they just ate Chattanooga right up immediately. And so pretty much right now they're sitting at a 4.5. In some places it's a 5. In some places it's a 5.5. So usually when I see them open up a line that big, it usually tells me that everybody's kind of betting the Cinderella factor, but I don't see any Cinderella stuff happening today. Furman has been very thorough with their business throughout this whole tournament and throughout this whole league play. Whenever I need Furman comes through. So I do like them today with the 4.5. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right. We have ourselves what I felt was the toughest conference tournament of last week, and that's the Sun Belt. The Sun Belt saw both of their top teams get put out in Southern Mississippi and in Marshall. Now it comes down to Lafayette playing against South Alabama. South Alabama absolutely had their way with Marshall the other day. And I think that this really does come down to who wants it more. But Lafayette has had a remarkable season. And once again, this is a team that had 23 wins coming into the this is a team that came in here with 22 wins, or 23 wins to be exact, or 22 wins exactly. Yeah, they had 22 wins. Yes, they had 22 wins coming into this bad boy. And so pretty much, or 23, whatever. But they came in here with a great record. And I think that South Alabama might play up to the accord today because they are somewhat of a Cinderella team. But I think that Lafayette takes care of their business because Lafayette's the type of team that can go dancing a little bit this March season. And I think that they could be a second weekend team as well, too. But they got to beat South Alabama first. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. This is a 50-50 toss-them-up type game. So there it is. There it is. Let's go ahead and jump into Talkin Tickets real quick. And with Talkin Tickets, we have ourselves some really good plays today. We have 37-1 on the PrimeTime PK6. I got Youngstown State with the -175, the number one seed in the Horizon. They have their semifinal going on today in Indianapolis. I also have Lafayette as well with the -125. We got St. Thomas +13 in the Summit League tournament. We also have Furman in the Southern Championship, the SoCon, with the 4.5, and we also have Charleston in their semifinal game in the Colonial with the 4.5, and then we end up with +14.5 on San Fran U. Who's actually playing in the semifinals as well, too. Finally, they got to the semifinals in the West Coast Conference. But that's where we're going, 37-1. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it checks out. And in the NBA, here goes a little refresher because I did give you guys all the plays as I talked about them. I got the NBA Super High 5 at 39-1. +8 with the Celtics, over 232 with the Patriots 76ers, -3 with the Heat, Raptors money line +200, and the under 237.5 with the Pelicans and the Kings. This will give us a 39-1 ticket. So there you guys go. We got plenty of value going on both sides tonight. So I really, truly do feel good about both of these. And this weekend, we had a great weekend. We wound up sweeping out Saturday. We also had a dog day ticket hit on Friday night as well, too. So, there's just a lot of things that worked out very well this weekend for us. We had a lot of good tickets get cashed out this weekend. We also had a big monster one hit with Iowa State with the +280. So you guys just keep following the wave, man. And the movement is moving, man, as I always say. And dude, I'm just trying to make sure that you guys are winning, period, point blank. I'm not trying to just be chasing the best team in the world. I'm trying to get you guys the best value when it comes down to this betting. You know what I mean? So it is what it is at the end of the day. But I will be back tomorrow. I got a busy day. We got Jeff in the morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 a.m. Eastern time. And then I'll be back with this show probably at noon or 1 o'clock tomorrow. I'll confirm on the Twitter, but I'll be back with my show tomorrow. We'll be talking a whole lot of sports as well too, and you guys make sure to tune in for that. But all in all, as I always like to say, bet with your head, not with your heart. And once again, the movement is moving, and this is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, and I'll be right back at you tomorrow. But for now, I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.